Bada bing, bada boom. Don't worry, the other two folks will be back soon enough, but all you need at the moment is myself and Carrie. We're going to get this thing rockin' and rollin'. The name of the game is Voloheen, Winds of War. The name of this episode, episode 16, is Supernova. And when we last left our characters, they have a moment to take it easy and rest. Agner has hit the bottle again, as Agner tends to do, and he's gotten down for some nice sleep, and the other characters also in their own ways just taking a rest. And with that being said, take it away, Carrie.
Alright. So, asleep. You find yourself in what feels kind of like a dream. Um, Agner feels himself. I'm gonna start that again. Agner feels himself falling into what kind of feels like a dream. You open your eyes, and you first of all realize that you can see, and you realize that you are in a wooded clearing. As you look down, you find that there are hundreds of thick silvery strands coming off of your body, all over your hands, your legs, each finger, down your chest, your stomach, everything is just covered in these thick silver strands. And they're holding you up off of the ground, and they stretch out beyond the trees. You can't see what they're attached to. Essentially, like, you can't move. You can just sort of look around. You can speak, but
Okay. Agner. So am I like immobilized, pretty much?
yeah.
I'm immobilized. Yeah, yeah. So Agner will strain against the all the strands that are holding him down, and he'll look around all over the place, realizing that he can see and he can look around. And in a moment of confusion, he'll say, "Ellie, are you out there? What's going on?" Because for him, he thinks like the only way that I can see is if Ellie casts that spell on me. And then when he doesn't hear an answer, probably he'll say, "Where am I?"
As you start to speak, and as you say, "Where are you?" A tiefling woman steps out from between the trees, and she is she's not familiar. Oh no, you can see, but you didn't see her before, so she's not familiar to you.
Ooh,
Interesting.
but maybe I'll
Um,
recognize her voice.
quite probably. um, she is red skinned. She has horns that curve and then point straight up into the sky. Her hair is long and black, but it's in one thick braid that is over her shoulder. She wears what looks like cleric robes in like a dark earthy brown color with metallic orange accents. And she has a thin gold wired circlet that curls up around her horns, and they look like licks of flame. She walks out of the trees and into the clearing and says, "Agna Bosch, it's a pleasure to see you again."
I'm gonna have Agner roll an insight check to see if he can recognize the voice or not.
Yep.
So you just set some kind of DC, and I rolled a 1. I
Nope,
that's what
they're
the
not
one that's
familiar.
what the one looks like.
You have no idea who this person is.
So in that case, Egner will do his typical thing when he doesn't understand what's going
I
on.
think it's Urana.
No, obviously,
SCP.
no. He thinks the ISCB. Duh.
Clearly,
Oh
it's
god.
it's Vincent Vachon.
Yeah,
Come
obviously.
back as a
No.
female tiefling.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy's capable of anything, so he'll immediately go into that kind of fight or flight response, and he'll strain against the restraints even more, and he'll say, "Vishun, what kind of filthy trick is this? You've got me again. I'm gonna bust out of here."
She laughs like gently. It's not like mocking. says, "Oh, relax, Agner. Not the ISDB. No.
Okay. Who are you then?
I'll excuse you for forgetting me. After all, as you weren't able to see at the time. And at this point, she's like stepping and ducking under these strands, like moving closer towards you. She's like very graceful. Uh, what is that? um, she says, perhaps you remember where you got that shield that you carry around with you.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Wait. And then it'll finally click for him.
Mm-hmm.
Shar, right?
Yes, you're correct.
Uh. It, hmm. Are you going to hurt me or something? Because I feel like we did you a favor back there with Fania. We kind of, we kind of destroyed Fania from what I remember. So, if you don't mind me asking, what is the meaning of this?
Yep, you're right. I don't intend to hurt you. In fact, I've done nothing but try and help you and your friends since I was released. You have my deepest thanks for helping with that. No, Agner. Well, I've been keeping an eye on you. Partly your proximity to Leoden, but I can see you're troubled. Would you like to talk about it? She's in a very like counseling tone. She's very calm and relaxed.
I don't believe I need to. Um, I don't think I need your counsel, but obviously you've got me here, so whatever you would like to talk about, he shrugs while being restrained. It's
I
sure.
mean, these tell me otherwise. And she flicks one of the strands that's attached to your arm, and you feel the vibrations go all the way down the strand and into your arm, and you feel it vibrate across your body. It's like taut twang.
Wait, so this isn't you? You didn't
No,
do this?
no, I didn't put these in place. This is a representation of your current situation. This is what your current god, I suppose I should call her that, has done to you. How does it feel? And at this point, she's like running her finger along. She runs it along the strand that goes directly into the middle of your chest, and you feel it like through your entire body. She moves towards you.
He'll get this weird face because he's trying to figure out the sensation. Like, does it feel good? Does it not feel good? Is it really creepy? Like,
It
he,
doesn't feel good.
yeah,
It makes you feel a little bit sick.
yeah. He'll stammer out. Please stop that. Stop that. No, no. Please. Um. Okay, I'll be honest. It doesn't feel good, and I I don't have any reasonable expectation that it should. Um, but it kind of comes with the territory, when you desire the power to be able to do good, sometimes you have to make some trade-offs, you know?
Mm, yes.
I figure a tiefling like yourself would understand complications, and you know what I'm trying to say?
I understand. So these are a little bit tighter than I would have done them, I will say. But yes, you and your friends. So many strings. And at this point, she moves around, so she's around the back of you. And she drapes her arms over your shoulder, so her head is like almost resting on your shoulder, and she's now talking like directly into your ear. Um, you're all connected to something. Well, almost all. let's have a look, shall we? And as she says this, four figures appear like in front of you, past the string, so they're not in your strands. Four figures appear, and you can see Rue, Eridu, Leah, and Ellie. And she then leaves your shoulders again and makes her way back through the strands, and heads over to oh no wait, okay, as she walks, she says, I didn't feel like bringing your ASMR friend here. I'm sure you'll understand that. With like a playful smile.
Sure. Fine.
Um, and then she steps up to the figure of Eridu. Eridu is looking very Tix-like at this point. You can tell it's him, but he's looking super Tixy. And there are thick brown branches that grow out of his back and curl down into the ground. And they all twist together and they look very rotten. There's also a soft, hazy orange light that connects between him and Leah, the figure of Leah. Shah stands in front of Eridu, looking like thoughtfully at him, and then turns to look at Agnes over his shoulder and says, poor Eridu, he's rotting from the inside, holding onto this being. He's struggling more than you see. Excuse the wording. Such a darkness inside. And she runs a hand down the branches as she walks around the back of him. But weeds are real easy to deal with. You just have to pull them out at the roots.
I've always tried to tell Eridu that he takes too much on himself. It was always in this metaphorical sense, but that deal with Tix, it became quite real. I always feared that it would consume him.
And it is. It's a daily struggle for him, but I'm working on it. And then she steps over the roots and over to Rue, who has one thick golden strand that goes from his chest into Eridu. And Shah runs her fingers through that light and then kind of thoughtfully, not really to you, but still to you. It might sound like she's talking to herself. She says, this one is interesting. Something new. Though a lot of this is still new to me. Oh, how the world has changed. And then she'll start moving over to Leah. Unless you want to say anything.
Yeah, he would ask, is there any way that Tix's corruption could reach over to Rue and corrupt Rue?
I don't know. I don't know this bond that's been created. I've never seen anything like this before. It's almost like their souls are connected. I've never this creature, and she kind of like taps on the metal of Rue's body, and you can hear it sounds like metal. I mean, these are new to me. These were not around when I was around before. I mean, to be fair, you weren't either, but you're slightly easier to understand than this. But it doesn't seem to be one that would usually have a soul. The other ones I've seen do not. So I'm not sure.
I think the jury is still out on that. Not that I'm any kind of expert in souls, not like you could be an expert in that kind of stuff, but look, I think you actually need to talk to Ellie about it. Ellie might be able to tell you a thing or two about these new fangled things.
She smiles and just says, yes, Ellie. We'll get to Ellie, don't worry. And then she steps over again over the roots of Eridu, and then moves around to stand in front of Leah. And she folds her arms and kind of tilts her head, looking at her slightly. Um, Leah has strands of light that are like a greeny yellow color, and they come directly out of the top of her head and reach up into the sky and out of sight. Um, you can see them kind of shifting and moving around as if dust has been caught in those beams. And Shah says, "Your friend Leodin, she's so lost. I can feel it all over her. Did you know she doesn't even know where her powers come from? I suppose at least you know. Suppose at least you know the pest that did this to you." And she twirls another one of the threads, almost like subconsciously, not really thinking about it.
Leah is a mystery to me as well. I I think it's got to be difficult for her whenever I feel a certain kind of angst about my powers, my capabilities, the strange responsibilities that come from them. At least I can have a spirited discussion with my deity about it.
Yes, she has a lot to learn. And she like strokes Leah's cheek. The figures are unmoving; they just kind of stand there.
Um, I Egner will ask, what is it that you want from Leah?
Hmm. That is an interesting question and does not have a quick and easy answer. There is an imbalance in the world right now, and I wish to attempt to rebalance it. Leah can help with that. I've never seen a power like Leah's before. She's strong. I would very much like her to accept my strength in place of her current one. I think she could do a lot more good for the world, I'll say that.
I see. Are you doing the same with me? Is that what this is all about? Is this why you brought me here?
You're very astute, Akenbosh.
I
Yes.
I like to think I am sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You have very uh, I think you have the potential to become a very powerful cleric. I can see it in you. I know that you have followed gods before that have let you down. And once again, you now follow a god who uses you like a puppet, hence the strings. I don't wish to do that. I don't wish to use you as a puppet. When I take on a patron or a cleric or a paladin, it's a give and take relationship. They want things, I want things. I'm able to give them the things that they want. They help me with what I need.
Forgive me for any offense I may cause. Subtlety and tact are not some of my best gifts sometimes.
She smiled. Look at this.
But sitting in my sitting in my position right now, it's hard to tell how what you propose is going to be any different from what I've already experienced. At some point, I think I just accepted that this is what the game is like.
I understand. This visit is not in an attempt to get you to change everything now. I don't expect results in 1 or 2 visits. I have explained this also to your friend Leodin, that I do not expect things to be immediate. I've just come to show you of the way things are, and I think I can give you a little help, a little nudge in the right direction. I mean, frankly, even if you don't decide to become one of my clerics, if I can get you away from her, then that's still a victory for me, I say. But speaking of which, I'm going back to your other friend, Ellie, as you call her. And she steps now past Leodin, kind of giving Leah like a little bit of almost like a longing look, and then moves over to Ellie, and she moves around. Oh, scratch that. She moves over to her and says, "There's like a bit of a spring in her step, like she's quite excited to get onto Ellie." Um, and she says, "Yes, Ellie. She's so clean, untouched." And she moves around to the back of Ellie now and wraps her arms around her neck in like in an embrace, like she did to you previously. And now you notice that where all of the other people have like various, like, so Eridu had the strands, but they were like the tree branches and the strands coming out of Ellie's head. There is nothing on Ellie. There are no strands coming out of her at all. She looks over at you over Ellie's shoulder, and she just says, "Look how clean she is. Not a single strand." And she reaches up and pulls. So Ellie's hair is usually in like a messy bun on the top of her head. She pulls the hairband out and lets Ellie's hair kind of fall around her shoulders. And Shark like runs her hands through it and like messes it up a little bit. And says, "She's so cute too for a human. But you didn't bring her with you. I'm sad. I'd have liked to have I'd have liked to meet her. I've been keeping an eye on her. Leodin asked me for a favour, so I've been dropping in on Elena from time to time. She likes you. She's a big fan." And then she takes like a deep sniff of Ellie's hair and lets out like a sound.
Creepy.
Like, super satisfying. And she continues, "She's special. Did you know that? You see..." Oh, go on. You can...
Egner has this kind of like exasperated, like huff kind of voice, and he says, "Yes, of course I can see that. Of course I can see that she's special. I know it doesn't really seem that way all the time, but look, why don't you just step away from her for a second, okay? She doesn't need any strands. She doesn't need to swear herself to to anyone or anything to do what she needs to do in life. Like, for all I'm concerned, she's too good for all of it, and she's too good for me too. I could tell she idolizes me. I could always tell, but she's too good for me. She's too good for this entire world. So look, you can sink your claws into me. You can sink your claws into Leah, I guess, if you want to. But can you leave her alone?"
Stay card. Bit of Ellie's coming through. He smiles and rests her like chin on her arm, still on Ellie's shoulder. And it's not like a mocking smile or like a taunting smile or anything like that. She looks like she's being, just really friendly and open with you. And she says, "Oh, Agna, you have this whole situation wrong. I don't intend to do anything with Ellie. You're right, in a way. She is too good for this world. You see, mortals, every mortal has strands of some sort. It's their ties to the planes of existence and to fate. Even if the tick strands were gone, Eridu would still have them. They just wouldn't look like that. You know, Leah's would be a different colour. They would be attached to somebody else or something else. Everybody has them. You have them. But not Ellie. She's untethered. And I kind of like her that way. It makes things very exciting. Need to keep an eye on her though. Again, pardon the wording. She's special. And because of that, people are going to start to notice her. She can make changes, big changes, timeline changes. I believe you've had a small taste of that. She can do something really quite special. The strand between Eridu and Rue, I don't know what it is, but she made that. And as far as I know, it's never been done before. And she's working on another. There's another strand forming. Back at your home. Yes. World changing. No wonder that Madman Finnegan likes her so much.
Don't even get me started on him.
She grins at this, and there's like a flash of like an unspoken like memory there. And there's a slight fondness, but also like there's something there. There's been an interaction. And then she just says, yes. Well, this girl is past your recovery, Agna. She's trying to lead you back into the light, but you're being so incredibly stubborn. When she offers you the hand, Agna, you should take it.
I will keep your advice in mind. There's something I want to ask you. You are a deity, for lack of a better word. You have probably seen and know all sorts of things about other people's experiences and about the business of other deities, if I may. Look, there was something that I asked Yorana that she did not give me a satisfactory answer for. Do you know if it was her that made me blind?
I do know the answer to that.
I don't care what the answer is. Please, please, I need to know.
Yes. She did. However, as I said, with weeds, they're easy to get rid of. You pull them up at the roots. It's a very similar situation with cobwebs. And she now opens her palm, and like a feather duster appears in her hand, and she starts to walk her way up the strands, running it along a few of them, and they start to just like crumble and fall away underneath them. And she makes her way all the way back up to you. And she says, your god is strong, I know, but I am stronger. I am one of the first. My power grows every day with the help of my dear disciples, like your new friend Soter. She made you blind. She has restricted you and tied you down. She keeps you in her web, waiting to devour you like any other poisonous spider. And she goes back around the back of you again, and once again drapes her arms around your shoulders, so she's talking like directly into your ear. With me, you'd flourish. You'd be able to help protect your new friends. You just need to cast her out. Not as easy as it sounds, I know, but your little human friend can help you if you let her. That purity. Between you and me, I think Jorah fears her. Just a little bit scared of her.
I'll admit it. Yes. I mean, that's her whole game, isn't it? She whispers to you in your weakest moments, confirms to you that all of your deepest fears are indeed going to come true. And if you don't listen to her, if you don't stay in her embrace, then it'll all come true. I've thought about casting her out several times, but every single time I had this sinking feeling that the moment I denounced her would be the moment of my end. It would be the moment that I got struck down immediately. Or perhaps it would be slower, more insidious. Perhaps she would start to poison everything in my life, start to hurt, kill, torture all of the people that I care about. So yeah, I have been living in fear of her, and I still am scared to cast her out, to denounce her. But at this point, whatever happens will happen.
She runs a hand down over your shoulder and across your chest, and it sort of is kind of suggestive, but also a little bit comforting. It's like a mix of the two. And then her hand comes down to the strand that's directly in the middle of your chest, and this is like one of the thicker ones. And she wraps her hand around it, and she says, "Well, all things have to start somewhere, and I won't let her destroy you. Don't worry about that." And then she gives a tug on this strand, and you feel something shift in your chest a little bit. But then a scream starts to rumble up around the clearing. It's very quiet at first, and then when she gives a second tug, spiders start appearing on these strands and start scrambling up towards the two of you. And the scream around you gets louder and louder to the point where it's like almost deafening for you. Because even though like you can see everything now, you've still got your heightened senses.
Oh gosh.
She lets go and then says in your ear, "Huh, I guess our time is up. Think about what I said, Agnes. We could be pretty great together." And then you wake up thrashing as you feel like invisible spiders like all over you.
Thrashing and screaming. Shrieking, even. What a bad dream, but a very productive one. But yeah. Okay, so Egner will have to deal with that kind of aftermath. He's probably in a complete like cold sweat, has just like soaked all of the bedding with his sweat. He quickly, with a shaky hand, reaches over to the bottle and tries to take a swig or two to get back to reality or something. But he'll sit in his room just like very, very shaken and not be able to get back to bed for a little while.
Okay. And then I want to, if Alex is still around, jump to Leah and Eridu. I'm gonna.
Because we're the same person. It's all good.
I'm gonna bring you two together at some point in this sort of nighttime period. Leah comes in and checks in on you, or you check on Leah, whichever.
Yeah. I think when Eridu's got Soter like in bed and sleeping and whatnot, he'll go and check on Leah because it just the rituals have him a little unsettled in general.
Okay.
I'm here.
So, at one point, yeah, Eridu, you go in to check in on Leah.
Yeah, you'll hear a light knock on your door. Probably very late into the night, as we are the only elves, so we don't actually sleep for very long.
I'm actually trying to figure out if Leah decided to pick up the ritual again. She did say that she wouldn't do it that one night. And I think the compulsion is going to be too great. I think she is doing the ritual.
So I'm gonna
But
have
not the.
Eridu interrupt that.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Not the full extent of it, just the.
Yeah. She's counting her scars. Some of them are very fresh.
Being as irreverent as Eridu has become after knocking, and giving a semblance of polite nature, she's going to step in, regardless of where she's at in the ritual, because at this point, it's like, I know she does this thing, I don't care if I interrupt it, I don't really agree with it, but I haven't made that vocal yet. So yeah, Eridu will step in.
Hang on, sorry. I had it always switches to the wrong default as far as input and output goes. So you walk in and say what now?
I just walk in, so whatever you're doing, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, well, Leodin glances up and just heaves a deep sigh and says, I'm almost done.
I'll wait, and I'll go and sit at the desk or whatever little furnishings there might be.
So what she's doing is she's holding up her arm and just like briefly touching every scar on it and muttering a name to herself, essentially.
This is like the apex of Leah's vulnerability right here.
Yeah.
Her arm is revealed.
Her arms are revealed. And actually, Eridu has not seen what her arms look like currently, I don't think. Although he may have noticed the last time she did her ritual. I'm not sure.
He's aware of the ritual. I'm not sure how much he's seen about her. But we as an audience have, so... Right.
So, she has a lot of old scars on her arm. But the last couple of rows, they're small marks that basically just spiral around her arm. The last couple of rows are very fresh. And like the last 2 or 3 they look new. Probably even more than 3, maybe closer to like 8 or something. And then, and that's her non-dominant arm. That's the one that has always had scars on it before. On her right arm, she has 2 new scars that are essentially roughly cut around her wrists. Obviously not deep enough to be like an obvious attempt at suicide or anything. They are there to just as a visual reminder, like rings instead of just little marks. So those are new, and they are also relatively fresh. A couple weeks old, I think. Maybe a month old. I don't remember exactly.
He'll be... Is there a desk in the room?
Yeah.
Eridu is sitting cross-legged on the top of the desk. Apparently, he is kind of like the character from Death Note, who doesn't actually like sit in chairs properly.
It's like L.
Like L, yeah. He is going to just sit cross-legged in sort of a meditation position on the desk, but just kind of looking at his own hands as he's like fiddling with some of the more barkened texture of his skin. Say, who do the new scars represent?
Which ones?
Which ones do you feel comfortable telling me about?
She raises the arm that has the small marks and points to the last one and says, Ellie. And then she raises the other arm that has the rings and says, Agrian.
Which scar represents you?
I don't... I don't have a scar. I am the scars.
Still, like, kind of picking at my own new flesh. My scars are on the inside. And sadly, sometimes they won't shut up.
Leah stops, like stands up from where she's been sitting, and quickly like walks over to Eridu and takes both of his hands in hers and says, "Is he getting stronger?"
He almost got me caught. He rooted me to the ground in the Capitol building, surrounded by Asimov. I don't know if I pushed him away or if he let me go. But, next year is one of the reasons why I was looking.
I don't know how to help you, Eridu. This is terrifying new territory for me, and I am the last person who can help you on this sort of thing, but I'm so afraid for you. I don't know how we can get through this.
And as you're holding my hands, I'm counting your scars, and I don't know how to help you. And keep collecting all the people that you hurt. We're just quite the pair, you and I. Sorry about that.
I know.
At this point, you notice a moth has followed you in when you came in before, and it is now fluttering above both of your heads. It kind of came down and got involved when you started having this, like, when you like joined hands. It's like deep conversation, but it seems like it was waiting for you to finish. But then it lands. Oh, go on.
Oh, and Eridu will notice it and smile and say, I suppose, Bo, you can heal all our scars, can't you?
It lands on your joined hands. I didn't mean that to rhyme. And you fall into a vision-like state. Leah, you've had this happen before. But Eridu, this is new to you. So for a second, everything goes black. And then you find yourselves stood in a forest clearing. Favorite place. You are facing each other and still holding hands. But Eridu looks more like Tix now. He's like really coming through like visually. Stepping out of the trees is Shah, like she was when she appeared to Leah before. So she's wearing a very simple dark brown dress. She doesn't have the golden crown like she did with Aigna. Her hair is loose and down her back. She just looks very casual and simple and plain. And she says, welcome back, Leodin. And I'm so glad to see you again, Eridu. How have you been? Let's say you have looked better.
Leah to Eridu very quietly says, "Oh shoot, I forgot to tell you that Shar might do this."
I'm just relieved that I'm not in a Tix vision. I'm not aware that I look more like Tix.
Oh no, don't worry. Definitely my doing, and not his.
Good.
So, yes, I know that Leah has told you some of what we talked about previously. I want to help. I saw you were both struggling tonight.
Sometimes there is a moment of vulnerability, and we choose to share it with those we trust. Those words are a bit more harsh.
Little bit
perhaps.
pointed.
Mhm.
She smiles and nods and says, "Yes, well, there's something that I needed to show Leodin, and I didn't want to wait longer. I apologize for intruding on your moment."
Well then, what did you come here to say? Or bring us here to say, rather?
Uh, she smiles and says, "I think it's time that we take another look at what your current powers have done."
If we must.
She puts a hand out for both of you, for you each to take one of her hands.
Leah looks at Eridu.
Yeah, I'll look down at Char's hand. Is this any of my business?
Well, you're here. I mean, either way, you'll see it. This is just the easier way to do it. So.
It might as well be Eridu. At this point, it might as well be.
I'll reach out and take Char's hand, noting that mine is like a bit more gnarled, a bit more bony and woodish, and ending in long claws. Sort of kind of react in shock at not expecting myself to be so grotesque.
Shaw smiles comfortingly.
When Leah takes Shara's hand, she also is mostly staring at her own arm and just how exposed the scars are. Yeah, she's not used to having them just out and visible to everyone.
She takes your hands and like gently sort of rubs her thumbs over the tops of them in like a very comforting kind of manner. And then she closes her eyes briefly, and the scene around you changes. You find yourself stood in a dark room. The walls seem to be made of mud. Yeah, mud. I've written wood, but I meant mud. Made of mud. And you can tell that you are like deep underground. You can also see that there are what seems to be like cells made out of the wood, out of the mud. Say wood. Out of mud. Against the back wall. And Shah gently starts to lead both of you over to them. In the first, you see lying sitting against the back wall with his head just leant back against the wall, a dwarf that you vaguely recognise as someone that you saw in Twin Harbour, who was part of the mind control thing that Leah cast spells on. He just seems to be looking up at the ceiling. He doesn't seem to be able to see you, or not have noticed you. She moves you along to the next cell, and sitting also against the back wall, holding onto his knees, so he's sort of crunched up in like a tiny little ball, and appears to be crying, is Trey, who is the guy who you removed the Gears like spell from, and Ellie destroyed his like tracking paper thing, and that you thought had kind of found like about daily life in Bronzewood Grove. He is crying in this little mud cell. She moves you along to the final cell, and there is a man laying down on his back, staring up at the ceiling. He looks drained and exhausted. His arms are laid out to the side of him, and you can see thick, like, gashes and wounds all the way down his arms, and they look fresh. Like, Leah can tell these look fresh. Like, she knows what these kind of spells look like. He looks completely emotionless, and he stares up at the ceiling, and you realize that this is Jaren.
Is he missing the hand?
Yeah, sure. I wrote that in. He looks how you last saw him, but tired and drained and emotionless.
What is this? Shar, why are these people here?
Well, someone put them here.
Why?
These aren't questions for me to answer, as much as I would like to. I believe there is somebody else that you need to have a conversation with.
I don't understand. All of these people should have gone free and moved on.
Yes, they should have. Layden, I'm sorry that I'm the one having to show you this. I truly am. And as she says this, you can start hearing footsteps coming towards what is a door to this room. And she turns to look as this door opens, and into the room walks Senna. And she is carrying a dagger that looks like it's made from a blade of grass. She walks through the room and straight through you, basically, so now you can tell that you're not really there, and walks over to the cells. You hear Trey starting to whimper as she gets closer, but Jaren just continues to stare at the ceiling, his expression not changing in the slightest. And then the scene fades away, and you're back in the clearing.
Damn. That sucks.
Eridu is going to release Senna's hand. Or not Senna's hand, release Shar's hand. And kind of just looking at her and... So this is your trick. You're going to show my sister regret so that she feels terrible and tears herself down for things that she might have done. And then, swiftly, he is going to turn, and his features turn to exactly what Tix looks like in his darkest and most vile forms. Just like a dead, rotting tree made into a humanoid form. And he's going to tear his hand away from Leah's in disgust. And you are a servant of Senna the whole time. Has this been a Samarian trick that trapped me and put me in front of her? Make this something that I can't get out of? No, I won't be. I won't be controlled like this. I will put an end to this now. And he is going to reach back, and his right hand become just a long, sword of wood. He's going to thrust it at Leah.
Shah makes like a tutting sound, like she's scolding a child, and says, Now, Tits, you weren't called upon to speak yet, were you? And Tix finds that his body like contorts and pulls his arm back down again, and it's basically like the hold monster spell has been cast on him.
What is the meaning of this? You don't have power over me. I'm not one of you.
But it looks like you can't move, doesn't it?
These are not the way the contracts are written.
You just wait there and be quiet until spoken to. Me and Leodin have some business to attend to, and then I will deal with you.
Tix is going to attempt to retort, but no matter how much he starts to move his mouth, no sound is coming out.
Shah just turns to Leah like she's not even bothered that he's there.
Well, Leah's panicking. My brother. He's. Tell me he's safe.
He's fine. Tix has no control in this place.
What is he saying? What are you saying?
As much as I dislike him, he does tell some truths. The woman that you call Senna is the one that you need to speak to about what we saw her doing and about the source of your powers.
Are you? Leah kind of turns so that she's looking at both you and Tix. Are you saying that Senna has been controlling me?
Controlling isn't quite the word I would use. But she's been using you, yes. For many years.
I don't know how to. I can't even begin to understand this. Senna is an elf, an old elf woman. She has taught me how to work with my powers insofar as they can be controlled. You make it sound like I'm some kind of conduit or not a cleric, like a warlock. A what now?
Oh, wait, really?
A what?
Sorry, continue.
Shah just kind of
Had to come out.
smiles like apologetically. Well, yes, that would be the name given to the one who gains their powers like you do.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Because you've been told many lies for many years. Well, lies, maybe not. Twists of the truth is closer. I told you before when I saw you last that your patron is trying to use you without you really knowing about it. She manipulates you into doing her will. And tries to keep your powers at bay while she works towards whatever her goal is. I don't know her. I mean I think our friend Tix here probably knows more about her than I do. Would you say? And at this point, Tix feels like he can speak again if he wanted to.
And Leah's also looking at Tix intently.
Like, he has obviously fallen silent. He stopped trying to talk, and then just through gritted teeth, he just says, "Yes, I know a lot about her."
Well, here's our show and tell session. Is it not? Did you bring your assignment to class, Tix?
He just looks at Senna, or not Senna, Shar. I'm gonna keep fucking these two names up. He looks at Shar with absolute hatred and just, "Yes, we have a game, her and I." and she has been doing a very good job at playing it. But it's come time that I tired of that game, and I was ready to put an end to it. Clearly she thought it would be advantageous to put an end to me. And I've
So she
searched enough
threatened
through Eridu's head to realize that wasn't his plan. Killing me isn't his intention.
But it was mine. I did think I could. When she sent me into the Feywild.
And I believe she would have convinced you of such.
I would have done it too.
To borrow a phrase from your brother, you would have tried.
I would still do it. To free Eridu of you, I would still do it.
Even if it means he would die too.
I'd find a way.
I'm here. I'm helpless. You have your new patron right there. Do it. See what happens. See if Senna won't make you her next target. See who else she can send at you.
She is not my patron.
But isn't
Senna
that what
is...
she's asking?
How can
Trade
Senna be...
service for service? Isn't
What's
that
that?
what she's asking you? Trading service for service. Isn't that what she was suggesting?
I have made no pacts with anyone. I don't know how this could have happened with Senna. I don't remember ever having done this. I'm not going to make a new one with Shar. Not now. This is insane.
No, this is the rule of power. You just don't have any of your own, so you have to borrow it and don't understand what comes with that borrowing.
I don't want it. I want it gone.
Then give it up and see if you can kill me then. You won't ever defeat me without someone else's borrowed power. And you won't ever get it without giving up part of yourself. That, now he looks at Shar again, is how the contracts are written.
Very good. I see you've been doing your homework. Gold star to you. Now I think that's enough. And she like physically makes his mouth like close up again, and it's like covers over as if it's just tree bark where his mouth should be. Sometimes you have to let the children speak, but I prefer it this way. He's trying to rally up Leah. A lot of what he says is true. He isn't one for necessarily lying, but you don't take everything he says to heart. You do have a power within you that Senna is using. A pact has been made, that is true, but she chose you for a reason. And while denouncing her as your patron would remove some of the powers that you have now, unfortunately it has gone a little too far past the point of no return in the way of your emotions being the driving force. However, with training and a more friendly, cooperative hand guiding you along the way, things will be very different. Could be different. I can help.
I've only just found out that I have a puppet master. I'm not looking to trade one for another.
I understand.
Is there any hope of ridding Eridu of this without that? Is this the price?
Honestly, and I make a point to be as honest as I can with you, Leotin, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how yet to permanently cast ticks out, but I can help keep him at bay. That I'm sure of. And at this, she steps up to Tix, and she releases hold on his mouth, but not on like his body. And she says to him, "Now, Tix dear, this may tingle a little."
Tix is gonna just set his eyes on her. You can't really hurt me.
Oh, you got this all wrong. I'm not trying to hurt you, Tix. Just let's call it putting you in a timeout. And then she puts her hands to the side of his head, and she starts to push power into it, and slowly he starts the like horn antler type thing start to recede inwards. His skin starts to clear up a little bit. There's time for him to kind of respond to this happening if you wish him to.
Mostly what he'd be doing is just like probably growling his frustration and possibly even some of his agony. But he wouldn't really say anything. At least I don't have anything I can say.
So she keeps doing this until it goes back to Eridu, and it gets to Eridu as he was when he was brought into this place, and she keeps going, and she keeps going to the point where he goes back to exactly how he was before he took Tix on visually. And then she looks at Leah and says, "Now, this isn't permanent. This won't last too long. But you'll have your brother back in this form for a little time. The only way to keep him looking like this that I can provide is close proximity to my power and strength. And the only way I can really do that is making a pact together."
Aren't you already with Soter?
Oh, I forget that you probably don't realize how this works. We have many. I don't really know what the word for not the opposite is. I have many followers and warlocks across the continent, the globe, whatever we
Sure.
have.
Across all of it.
Yeah. It's not a one and done thing. I believe that Senna will have more. It's actually very unusual for a patron to have only one follower. That would some sort of weakness. To not have more than one. No, I am ready and available for you, Maiden.
That's not what I meant. What I meant was, why shouldn't it be that Eridu's proximity to Soter would have the same result?
Soter is not. He takes a different kind of power from me. He's not. It's a different kind of power. This would be a special. This would be like a gift. Yeah, I would have to give you the power specifically to do this, rather than it just being emanating from people who follow me.
I see.
But-
Eridu will also look at Leah and say, "And don't love Soter the way that I love you. I don't think that I would love anyone the way I love you. That has to count for something.
I know what you mean. I just I don't know what the right choice is. You know that I would do anything for you.
And I would do anything for you. And I would make the bargain with you, Shar. I would take your power to keep Tix at bay. Would you make this deal with me?
Interesting. She looks like
Leah.
slightly amused by this concept.
Say no.
Leah will reach out and grab Eridy's arm and say, "No. This isn't your burden. I'm positive it's not."
But isn't it? Your offered proximity to Shar to keep Tix at bay, and Tix is in me. That is my burden. I took that on. Can't I take on this burden too? Can't I carry all of the weights?
Stop.
Unfortunately, I do. As much as I would love to have you under my wing, it will be Leah's ability to control emotions and feelings that is the key to this. Unfortunately, my power within you will not be able to really hold him at bay more than what you already manage. I mean, a little bit more, you know, but no. But as I said before, this is not a decision to be made now or quickly. I don't wish you to rush into this. I would prefer this to be a mutual agreement between the two of us. So, I have one last. No. I have a couple of last gifts for you, Leodin. I'll leave you with your brother, restored like this. Like I said, it will wear off, but it will remain like this for a few days, I think. And, of course, you had to use your powers on your way in to where you currently are, correct?
I did.
Well, we'll do something about that, shall we? And she changes the scene around you, and you see you are in a bedroom, and there is one of the guards from outside the gates that you saw that you cast the spell on, the one who actually checked Soter over. And she walks over to him as he lies asleep, and you two stand sort of in the bedroom watching her do this. And she reaches over, and her hand seemingly goes into his head, like you can see her fingers disappear into his skull. And she comes back out with a seed. It's like that kind of, I can't describe how big it is, like an inch or so big. And it has, you can see little roots have already started to grow out of it. But she plucks it out of his brain. There's no hole left. She doesn't it's not gruesome or anything. And she brings it back over to you and rests it on her palm. And then just sort of shows you it. And then you watch it happen again. And she brings up another bedroom, the other guard, she does the same thing. And now you have these two seeds. She gives you them that you can have. I don't really know what you can do with it, but a keepsake. I don't know. I have no use for them. They're not.
It actually drops them into the ground. She doesn't want to touch them.
She just sort of shrugs and it's fine. And the last thing, and now the same orange hazy light that Agnes saw, so obviously you guys didn't see it, but it's that light, appears between the two of you, and she puts her hand into it again, and it brightens a little bit, and she basically refreshed it, so you now regain that benefit of when you're in 30 feet, you get the extra 2 AC. from being in proximity to each other, because that lasted for like a week, so you get it back again. And then she says, well, this has been interesting. I imagine you have a lot to think about, Lyrden, and you, Eridu. It has been a pleasure to see you both again. I will visit you again soon. We have more to talk about.
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know whether to thank you or curse you.
She smiles. And nods.
Goodbye.
And then the scene fades away, and you're back in your room again. And I think we should leave it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Very dramatic session. You know, when you're conversing with the deity, things are going to get pretty heavy. It tends to happen. But hey, thank you one and all for joining us today, and join us next week for more Roll for Mischief time. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.